Let's start by giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, and the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honor to the brothers um, risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who would be the so called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. The elect would be one third of the Israelites, who in the last days will return back to Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai to receive salvation. While the two-thirds of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. That's all according to prophecy. We back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be titled The Accuser and His Wrath. The Accuser and His Wrath. The accuser will be Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And what's been going on since Trump been back in office is that the United States, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, has been at war with the 12 tribes. That's why, starting at the beginning of the year, um, he started deporting what he would call illegal immigrants. You know, people that came up from South Central America, Mexico, to the U.S., but they don't have citizenship. Started deporting them, dropping them off in the middle of the ocean, putting them in these FEMA death camps. And what he's trying to do is, those people, he want to deport them or kill them off. Those who came here and got citizenship, he said it's a top priority to strip them of their citizenship for certain petty crimes. The people who were born here, so-called blacks, Native Americans, he's now trying to find a way to criminalize us, to either, deport us, take away our citizenship, kill us off, whatever they come up with. Now, to justify doing that, beginning with the Northern Kingdom, so-called Mexicans, Venezuelan, Guatemalan immigrants, Trump had to dehumanize them, call them all kind of criminals, all kind of monsters, said they was doing all types of heinous crimes here in America, made them the face of crime and drugs here in America. Now, all of a sudden, that problem is gone. You don't hear about that too much, because what he's doing now is he's trying to dehumanize the so-called African Americans, so-called Negroes. Now he's making us the face of crime here in America. Recent interview, he already said we do a majority of the crime, and that's totally false. But that's why the lesson is titled The Accuser and His Wrath. The accuser is at work right now. And why is he falsely accusing us of all of the world's problems? To justify coming down with great wrath on our people by way of his military. He gonna come at us with the force of the U.S. military. But first, he has to declare us an enemy. Create this narrative that we the enemy and we're a threat to America and to the American people. So when they bring the military after us, um, you know, nobody don't blame him. But we got a handful of videos, and after the videos, we're gonna get the scriptures. So also what they're doing, they're bringing up all these false statistics, you know, data, falsified information. The data is inflated, it's skewed, it's not the whole picture. These fake stories happening, like the white girl that got stabbed on the train in North Carolina. Come to find out, that was a fake story. We got the video. When we gonna look at that, we're gonna look at some other information. But it's gonna be a lot more crimes that they're going to say our people are committing, a lot of them crimes going to be fake. Again, to create this narrative that we're the face or the source of all of America's problems, and they need to get us off the street, whether it's by deporting us, dropping us off in the middle of the ocean, or putting us in a FEMA death camp, killing us off too, all of the above. But again, the accuser is at work right now. What comes after? The great wrath. So let's get these videos. We're gonna make this one kind of big. Check this out. Check out how fake this video is. So supposedly this girl's gonna get stabbed and get her neck slit, but you don't see no blood come out. None of that.
So what you see there is a young woman who, somewhere in the back of her mind, knows she's about to die. Is this community, and let's be real here, the black community, I don't mean Charlotte, I don't mean train riders, the black community, everyone on the...
So he's speaking to all black people. He's talking about all black people. He said the black community, not particular individuals within the black community, but so-called black people as a whole.
Subway, with the exception of Zurich, appears to be black. Is that community going forward? Is the discussion going to center around outrage and doing something to prevent this from ever happening again and protecting the innocent so that no one else has to go through that, like Zaritska, no one else has to witness that, and most importantly, duty. But there would be no better scenario than for us to see everyone step in and another guy get out and blow that motherfucker away. Right? Blow that motherfucker away, that piece of human shit, and stand before a judge who says, thanks for blowing that motherfucker away. Let me let you in a little secret. There are 400-something million guns in this country. If you waved a
So pretty much he said, where's the outrage? And is, somebody going to do something about this so it doesn't happen again. So the media and propaganda is trying to create this false narrative to create this deep hatred for the so-called black community, because we the target now. And let me rephrase that. We're part of the target, because the Northern Kingdom, so-called Mexicans, etc., they still being targeted too. But now we part of that target. But I guess they didn't really show the video for getting her neck cut, but it's a fake video. Trust me, we gonna show some proof towards the middle of the lesson. But more and more people talking about us as a community, about how evil we are, we criminals, we do most of the crime. But let's get to this next video. Check this out.
Statistically, a white person is 30 times more likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around.
We know that's totally false. We know so-called black is more likely to get killed by a white person. That's how it's always been throughout history, even going back to the book of Genesis.
That's just true. In 2019, there were about 560,000 violent interracial incidents between blacks and whites. 470,000 of them were black on white. That's 85%. 85%. 240 black people were killed by whites. 560 white people were killed by blacks. And this is all in spite of the fact that white people make up 60% of the population. Blacks are 13%. Just by raw numbers, not even per capita, but raw numbers, there are more black interracial killers than white. That should be impossible. There are 171 million more white people in the country, and yet there are more black interracial killers. By raw numbers, the young black males in particular are an order of magnitude more violent and more likely to commit crimes than any other group in the country. Black men are 5 or 6% of the population. They commit the majority of murders in the country. That makes black males in America more dangerous than perhaps any other demographic in the entire world, let alone in this country. Statistically, a white person.
So young Jake,
And all that information is totally false. Again, this is the accuser at work, to accuse our people of all kind of heinous acts and crimes to make us the face of crime and violence here in America to justify killing our people off with the military. So keep in mind all of that. Now look at how the hate is spreading. Now check out this Sheetamite. Let's see what she got to say. And this is after the events of the guy Charlie Kirk, which was a big accuser of our people, which I believe that was Charlie Kirk in the last video, which he just got shot in the neck last week. But he was a big accuser of our people. Now check out this Sheetamite.
People don't need a reason. They have resentment in their heart. They hate white people because they're unsuccessful in life, but it's not because of them. They're unsuccessful in life because of white people, right? Well, you know what? I don't actually care what your reasons are. If you are a violent person who will kill somebody just for sitting there, not doing anything with you, or you'll kill someone like Austin Metcalf who simply asks you to leave because you're not supposed to be there and you're in someone else's seat, I don't want these people in the streets. We have to get serious with what we're going to do about this. People need to get angry about this sort of situation, and they need to start realizing this is happening, and they need to get more racist. Racism would save a lot of lives. If this girl was a little bit more racist, she may have not sat in... Sorry. If this girl was a little more racist, she might not have sat in front of a black guy with her back to a black guy. Girls may not date black guys. If they realize when they go into the court system, it's nothing but white women bringing before the judge the brown and black perps who have battered them, abused them. They're trying to get restraining orders out against them.
And that's false because so-called white man, he does most of the domestic violence. As much as it happened in our community, most domestic violence cases with the so-called white man.
And those are the lucky ones, believe it or not. Those aren't the ones that were murdered by these people. So we need to get tough with ourselves and realize that this is an actual problem and not care if they call you racist, because I would rather be called racist than dead. Okay? And what are we supposed to do about this problem? It's not good enough just to talk about it. The cops need to be cracking down on these people. It needs to be stop and frisk everywhere. We need profiling. We need a cop to see, you know what, that's a suspicious looking black person. I'm going to stop and frisk him. I'm going to see what he's up to. Yes. Yes, you are no longer allowed to walk while black. Yes, you are going to have the law looking down your back. Because I'm sorry, until you fix this in your community, it's not going to go away. And people will continue to look suspiciously at you. Like this girl should have done. Not that I'm blaming her at all. My point being, if we had a little bit more racial consciousness and we realized, maybe don't put yourself anywhere in the vicinity of a black person. Better yet, why don't black people have their own spaces? Yeah, I said it. They've been calling it for years. Black people have been calling it for years. They've been saying, you know what, we want black-only spaces where whitey can't be there. Go for it. Go for it, please. That's what we have to do. We have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to live in areas that are free of you. So I think it's time for not only law enforcement to do their jobs, but we got to seriously think about trying to lobby politicians to help us get these people in places where they are away from us, because we don't want to be around them. People don't need a reason.
over two.
So we know that was nothing but straight lies. She pretty much said, there needs to be more racial profiling from the cops, more stop and frisk, pretty much more police brutality. That's pretty much what they're calling for. Now, listening to this, you would think white people so-called white people dying by the hands of so-called black people will be the problem here in America, when in fact it's the other way around. Are people still being shot in the streets by white Edomite cops, still being killed in the prison and jails, still being unfairly and unlawfully sentenced in court for petty crimes, still being lynched, still being hanged. They just found a man hanging, I believe, at a university in either Alabama and Mississippi. They tried to rule it as a suicide, but our people don't do that. Now, if our people, do suicide, it's not by hanging himself on a rope. Come to find out, the guy who was hanging, all his bones were broken. And again, this is, I believe, right around the time when the guy Charlie Kirk got shot. And then look who he got shot by. He got shot by a so-called white person. And then 2 days later, there was a cop in Georgia, a white Edomite cop. He got shot by another white man. So they wouldn't accuse us of gun violence and violence here in America. But look who been shooting who lately. And then I'm gonna do something real quick. We actually gonna bring up her YouTube channel so we can show the kind of content she makes. And again, this is the accuser at work. Uh, God damn. Pull this over. Hold on. Now, check out the kind of content she makes. Let's go to her videos. White father and white baby targeted in evil black attack. Disgusting blacks are celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. But hold up, what about the other races of people, including white people, that's celebrating his assassination? It ain't just us. But this is the kind of content she creates. White woman under attack by blacks. See that? Black rage almost kills cop during insane traffic stop. White people attacked by black mob. But this is the kind of content she makes, and many others. But that's what the scriptures say: never trust thy enemy. Because there's no telling, what Edomites and what other people out here feeding into this information and actually believes it. So that was that. We got another video we're going to get real quick. Now, this is the guy, Charlie Kirk, some more, giving, false numbers and falsified information concerning so-called black people in the crime rate here in America.
13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why? Because black people tend to be in lower economic statuses because of
This
CRT.
is fine. This is great.
Basically,
so you think that poverty equals crime?
I think that it's highly correlated.
But yeah, we gonna take that back again real quick so you can just hear what he said. Then we gonna get into this next video.
Are qualified. Black people are only 13% of the population, yet they commit 55% of the murders. Why? Because black people tend to be in lower economic.
See, so pretty much he said we commit 55% of the murders, although we make up, a small portion of the population. Now, again, this is the accuser at work set the narrative that we the problem here in America. Why? Because they, who is Esau, Edom, the white man, they about to come down with great wrath. Now, we got this Edomite boy, he's going to clear all of that up, with real numbers, real statistics. In which, when you look at crime, the white man leads by number in every category of crime except robbery and theft. So-called blacks only lead in robbery and theft. Why? Because we are poor, needy people. And even a lot of those theft cases is petty crimes. People stealing groceries, stuff like that. Why? Because the curses are on our people. Now, let's get this video to show that the accuser is at work. Everything we done seen and heard in these different videos up to this point has been a lie. Now, check this out.
Talk like that. Do you seriously believe that 13% of the population and 50% of the crime? You need to get fact checked, and I'm about to do it to you. In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%. Then in 2017, white people committed 68% of the reported crime, and black people only committed 26% of it. And in 2024, white people committed 53% of the reported crime, while black people only committed 25%. So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people. But guess what stat black people are 13% of the population and 50% in? Exonerations. When they're wrongly convicted, all you're doing by spreading this fake fact is allowing more people to profile and be racist towards black people. You know what's the highest percentage of people who are victims of white people? Black people. And if you look at all the shootings, guess who are the shooters? White dudes. So let's all think long and hard on who actually commits 50% of the crime.
Hey, that's the point of that. Most of the shooters are white dudes. Your mass shooters, public shooters, assassinators, cop shooters, so-called white dudes. And they commit most of the crime. And he said, 50% um, of our people who are convicted, they're exonerated. They were wrongfully convicted. So a lot of our people, they might be investigated, but a lot of the times they be found innocent or not guilty or wrongfully accused. So he cleared it up. So we just wanted to show the accuser is at work. You can't believe everything you hear when it comes from the news or from these councilmen, these politicians, these governors. That's all propaganda. That's all pushing a narrative to push hate against the so-called black community, just like they was doing so-called Mexicans, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, etc. You see the pattern of Esau the white man at work. So we're going to get this in Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the sun. Time to heal, time to kill, time to break down, time to build up, etc., etc. And then when you get verse 8, it says a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Love and peace go hand in hand. Hate and war go hand in hand. What did the Shedemites say? People need to be more racist towards black people. Cops need to racially profile and search us more often. They need to separate from so-called black people. That's pushing hate. Why? Because we're in a time of war. In the war, it's against who? You 12 tribes. That's always put up the screenshot. Trump's war on brown skinned people. No, Trump's war on the Israelites, the 12 tribes, the Negroes, Latinos, so called Native Americans. So this is a time of war, meaning hatred is going to increase in the earth. That's why the scripture spoke about the love of many waxing cold. Love is going to decrease and hate is going to increase because we're in a time of war here at the end. And America is waging a war against the 12 tribes. Why do you think the National Guard is being sent to liberal democratic cities? Who are they after? So-called Mexican immigrants. Why Trump want to deploy the National Guard in the military to Memphis, Chicago? Who's the target? So-called black people who so-called commit most of the crimes here in America. So yeah, they got to increase the hatred for our people. Why? Because they at war with our people. See, with war, there's an enemy and there's a hero. They got to paint this picture that we're the enemy here in America so they can play the hero. And they're going to use their military to do whatever they do to our people. Kill us, exterminate us, deport us, drop us in the ocean, put us in the FEMA death camps. So they got to convince the American people and the general public that we're the enemy. It's going to work, for a good number of people, but also there's always a balance. Other people ain't going to fall for it. They know what's up out here, like the little white Edomite boy. But yeah, he got to make us the enemy so he can justify himself in playing a hero. So that what? When they start killing our people, that the public and the American people don't feel bad or get upset. Pretty much say we was deserving of it. And that's how a lot of Edomites feel. And a lot of them know the truth. They know they the top criminal in America. But that don't matter to them because they hate us. So we going to get this in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 10. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down. We seen Charlie Kirk say we 13% of the population and do 55% of the crime. We heard him say that white people are 30 times more likely to die by the hands of a black man than vice versa. We heard him say we the most violent people on the planet. We heard him say we commit 90% of the violent acts here in America. And look what happened to him. He made our people to face of gun violence, and he was killed by gun violence by another so-called white man. So Charlie Kirk, which was one of the top accusers of our people, the Lord cast him down. And now it's a foreshadowing what's going to happen to Esau as a whole, because he's the accuser. Who accuses our people more than Esau the white man? Not the Chinese, not the Japanese, not the Arab, not the East Indian, not nobody else, but it's the so-called white man, these Edomites, who always pointing the finger at our people. So yeah, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down. So that's what's going to happen. What happened to Charlie Kirk on stage, getting hit up in the neck, that's what's going to happen to Esau Edom as a whole. They all, when it says cast down, meaning the Lord going to bring judgment on them. He's going to destroy them. It says, which accused them before our God day and night. So they accuse us day and night on the television. In the movies, our people always got to play the criminal or the bad guy. Everywhere. all over the earth. Esau's media and propaganda is to push the narrative, that we the gang members, the thugs, the drug lords, the criminal, the violent, etc. When in fact, all of that is him. And not even that, they go pray to the Lord and be like, look at your people, look how they acting, look what they doing. But see, that's the accuser of our brethren. The scriptures say, woe to him that give his neighbor drink, to look upon his nakedness. So, a lot of the stuff that our people do be guilty of, Esau set the stage for it. But yeah, it speaks about the accuser of our brethren. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to get this word real quick. We're going to come to this one. We're going to see if anything sticks out. So, accuser, it says against one, complainant at law. Let's see if anything else pops up. Matter of fact, we're just going to look up the word accuser in the dictionary app. So we got the word accusation. So you go to this word accusation, it says allegation, charge, indictment, arraignment, criticism, complaint, lawsuit. Then a definition, it says a charge or claim that someone has done something illegal or wrong. And again, they falsely accuse our people. Or in other words, to put the blame on somebody or say somebody is guilty of something. Now let's come back over here because they're gonna give some examples of this word accusation. So check this out. An accusation, an accuser can be made in private or in public. They do it in both. They do it in private with the Heavenly Father when they accuse us before God day and night, and they accuse us in public on TV or just in public in general. An accusation can be made in private or in public to the accused person alone, and they accuse us as a nation, or to other people, or without the knowledge of the accused person. So they accuse us of all kind of stuff without even knowing us about it. An accuser can make an accusation with or without evidence, and that's what these Edomites do. They say you're guilty of all kind of stuff, but don't have the evidence to back it up, in which the evidence don't exist, for the accusations they throw at us because all the information is falsified, incorrect. It says the accusation can be entirely speculative. And that's the thing. All the stuff they say, you could say it's speculation, but they lie intentionally. So it's not even speculation. It says it can even be a false accusation. So that's what the scriptures mean when it says, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night. So they falsely accuse us of all kind of things all the time. It can be a false accusation made out of malice. So they do it with malicious intent. It ain't just here, that they lying on us, bringing all this false information, falsified data, just so people can talk about us. No, it's deeper than that. They doing this with malicious intent. They want to turn the hearts of the American people against so-called black and so-called Hispanic people. So that when the white men come down with great wrath and start killing us, they come at us with the military. Don't nobody feel bad for us. It says, for the purpose of harming the reputation of the accused. And it's deeper than just harming our reputation. Harming our reputation so they can justify themselves in killing us off. Throwing us in these detention centers, deporting us, killing us, coming after us with the military. That's what this is about. And again, that's why we got Ecclesiastes 3. A time of love, a time to hate, a time of war, a time for peace. So they throwing all these false accusations, accusing us falsely to spread hate for our people because they're at war with our people, the 12 tribes. So, it's not wrong to accuse somebody if they're actually guilty of something, but to accuse somebody, falsely, hey, that's a dangerous thing. That's a great evil. That's why the scriptures are speaking about it. It says that the accuser of our brethren is ultimately going to be cast down. So we went into this word accuser. The Lord speaks about the accuser of our brethren that accused us day and night. But when you skip down to verse 12, it says, therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil, this devil is speaking about the accuser, the people who accuses us day and night. And we can prove it real quick. We're going to come to that word accuser. Now look at this. Hold on. Now look at this for this word accused. A name given to the devil by the rabbis. See that? Accuser. A name given to the devil by the rabbis. See that? Because the devil just means deceiver by definition. That accuser, that deceiver, that liar is none other than Esau Edom, the so-called white man. That's why it says the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So that's the order of business that the white man is doing. He's going to accuse our people day and night, which accuse them before God day and night, and accuse us, on TV here in America. But after they accuse us, they're gonna come down with great wrath. That's the order. The verse 11 in the middle, it tells you, regardless of what they do, we're gonna overcome by Yahweh Shai. But again, they're gonna falsely accuse us to make us pretty much to be terrorists here in America, is what they're trying to say without saying it. They're going to pretty much declare us to be terrorists, falsely accuse us. That's why they come with all these made up numbers, overinflated numbers. Why? Because they're going to come down with great wrath. Now, let's look up this word wrath. What does it mean? They're going to come down with great wrath. So we have Revelation 12 and 12. Let's get this word wrath. G2372. But when we do come here, it's not going to give much. It says with passion, angry, heated anger. And that's Ecclesiastes 3, a time to hate. But let's get the root word. See that? Root word for the word wrath. So the root word, G2380. So wrath, the word that it comes from, that word means to slay, to kill, to slaughter. So Revelation 12 and 12, when it says, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, the devil who is the accuser, the deceiver, the liar, Esau Edom, the white man, he's going to come down with great wrath, meaning he's going to come down on our people with a great slaughter. He's going to slay, he's going to kill our people. That's what this military presence throughout America is for. It's not for patrolling the streets. It's not for helping the police. What we witnessing being set up is a slaughter of the 2/3. Well, the slaughter of our people, which 2/3 are not going to make it, according to prophecy. I'm gonna jump here real quick. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it in the NLT. That's why when we come to the book of Luke, chapter 21 and 20, in the NLT, I believe, it says, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies. Now, this would be the people of Jerusalem, the 12 tribes, primarily here in America. And where are we located? In the inner cities. Chicago, Detroit, Memphis, like that. So when you see Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem, the 12 tribes surrounded by armies, that's ICE, the National Guard, the U.S. military, then you will know that the time of its destruction, that's that great slaughter, has arrived. And we see this increasing military presence who's being dispatched and placed throughout America to target our people. It's not about deporting illegal Mexicans or Guatemalans. It's not for stopping crime in the black community. What we're witnessing is them setting up for the destruction, for the slaughter of our people. So back to Revelation 12 and 10. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them day and night. So that's what's happening right now. The accuser is at work, accusing us day and night, slandering us, spreading all kind of false information, fake stories happening, people dying, by the hands of a so-called black person who never really died. Now let's show that real quick. So this is the girl. How the lies of Ukrainian refugee and the Charlotte man with a criminal history converged in a fatal stabbing. So September 9th, 2025. This is the chick who supposedly got killed on the train. Now let's look at her name. Irina Zarutska. See that? Irina Zarutska. Supposedly she died September 2025. But now let's go to this post from a while back. What it say? This is from another white person. But she was already used in a psyop. She was a medic who died in the Ukraine war. So supposedly this girl already died in Ukraine. And what's her name? Irina Zarutska. Was a Ukrainian medic who was killed in action in Bakhmut, Ukraine in April. Can't see the year, but supposedly she was killed in Ukraine. So how is it that she was killed here in Charlotte, North Carolina? So a lot of these stories you about to see coming out concerning so-called white people dying by the hands of so-called black people, they're fake. They're made up. You got deep fakes, AI, digital editing. They got flesh suits. White people can put on a suit that looks like the flesh of a so-called black man and go do a crime. But this is them accusing us day and night. Not only in private to the Heavenly Father, but in public to the American people. So again, which accused them day and night. To justify what? Them coming down with great wrath. Coming down with a great slaughter on the 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. That's what you do in war. You got to kill the enemy. Well, first, they got to push this narrative that we are an enemy, that we are a threat and a danger to the general public, to the American people, and the public safety. And they have to get rid of the threat. So like what they did to Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, made them an enemy to justify them sending the military to so-called kill the threat. That's what's being done to our people right now. And then I don't have the video, but if you saw the video of her being stabbed on the train, it's totally fake. And people have already analyzed that video and broke it down. Now, when we get this in Psalms 50:19, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. This is talking about Esau, Edom, the so called white man. The next verse prove it. But again, thou givest thy mouth to evil. And what's the evil? Lying on our people, accusing them falsely so you can kill them. It's a great evil to falsely accuse people. Because how many people have died behind a lie? Emmett Till, he was lied on. And look what happened to him. Come to find out, he had this weird speech impediment that before he would speak or after he would speak, it will sound like he's whistling. So that's the dangers when somebody's falsely accused. They can be tortured, mangled, murdered. And that's what he's given his mouth to do, to set up and justify the murdering of our people. Thy tongue frame of deceit. That's that false narrative. That we the smallest population but commit most of the crime. And that white people are in constant threat and a constant danger as long as we around. And what? They gotta get rid of us. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. So what two brothers would this be talking about? Jacob and Esau. Esau, who is the so-called white man. So they speaking against his brother Jacob, the 12 tribes today. Every time they accuse us in private to the Heavenly Father and accuse us in public before you American people. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. Let's get this word slander, which is pretty much the same word as accusation, but slander is kind of more straight to the point. The action or crime of making a false spoken statement damaging to a person's reputation. So the false accusations, them falsely accusing us, that's the evil. That's why it says thou givest thy mouth to evil. That's a crime because you shouldn't bear false witness against your brother to damage a person's reputation or to damage the reputation of a nation. No different than what they did in the book of Nehemiah and Ezra. And they're trying to convince the king, don't let the Jews build up the wall because they're going to rebel, not pay taxes. They're going to start wars. These are troublesome people and they're going to be bad for your kingdom. The book of Esther, when Haman said, these people have a troublesome history. They're planning to rebel. They're planning to kill you. They're planning to overthrow you. Then what happened in Esther? There came a day where all people got together and said on this particular day, we're going to kill and destroy all of the Jews since they this big problem. Now the Lord didn't let it play out, but he's going to let it play out in this lifetime. They're not going to get all of us, just 2/3 of our people. So slandering somebody is a great evil because falsely accusing, straight up lying, people about to die behind this. A lot of our people about to die behind this. A false, malicious, and spoken statement. Defamation, character assassination, misrepresentation of character, malicious gossip. That's what that is. Malicious gossip. A false report, that's what that data. Them numbers, that's a false report. Accusation, insult, that's what they doing. So we also gonna get this in the book of Ecclesiasticus 13:23. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue. So when Trump's speaking, when Charlie Kirk's speaking, everybody all ears. Nobody got nothing to say. Nobody got nothing to say against what they say, but everybody all ears and everybody believe it. When the rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he say. They extol it to the clouds, meaning they believe it, they fall for it. Extol it to the clouds, meaning the words that a rich man speak, they value it's highly valued. They believe it. It says this, but if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. See that? So when Charlie Kirk get this false report and other Edomites trump falsely accuse us and say we commit most of the crimes, they extol it to the clouds. They hold those words in high regard. But when we speak and try to defend ourselves, say, no, the white man commit most of the crimes. We say, no, them numbers are false. They say, what fellow is this? Who are you? What are you talking about? And see, again, we in a time of war, and with war, you got to create hate for the enemy. So Trump understands the science and the psychology between the rich and the poor, and that they can say whatever they want, and for the most part, the public gonna roll with it because he's the rich, he's the president, they're politicians, they're so-called leaders, so they must be right. Then when we speak in defense and speak against them, oh, nobody's gonna believe them. They're a bunch of thugs, they're a bunch of criminals, they're blacks, they're Mexicans, they're immigrants. Who's gonna listen to them? Trump understands that. The white man understands that. So that's why they tell these bold-faced lies, because they know nobody's going to fact check them. But when the poor man speak, we got to be fact checked. When we speak, it's hate, it's reverse racism. So that's the dangers of, you know, falsely accusing somebody, because many of our people are going to die behind this. And that's the dangers of when the rich man speak, because everybody believes him, whether it's good or bad. But when the poor man speak, nobody believes him. You know, whether he's wrong or right. You know, the people would never consider it because he's the poor. And poor goes into being insignificant, of a low rank, of a low status. And that's why when we get this in the book of Psalms 55 and 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. So Trump talking about he's going to get the criminals off the street. He's going to clean up crime and make America a safe place. What it say? But war was in his heart. Again, the words of his mouth are smoother than butter. He's going to make America great, but war was in his heart. When he says he's going to make America great, he was actually speaking against the 12 tribes. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. A sword has a target. You have to point it at something. That's the case with the words they speak. Whether they speak in general or they mention us by name. So-called blacks did this, so-called Mexicans did this. Whether they speaking directly at us or they speak in general. You know, we the target of everything they speak. And we the target of all their House bills, executive orders, everything they passing right now. The National Guard, ICE, the military being deployed throughout America, we the target. Everything is done with intention. Them changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War, that wasn't against Russia. That wasn't against terrorists here in America that came here from the Middle East or China. No, the target for the military being here is against the 12 tribes. Because why? Trump is at war with brown skin or Israelite people. And I think I still got the screenshot. Chicago, in other words, so-called black people, about to find out why it's called the Department of War. But first, they gotta finish accusing us before the public to make us out to be this fearsome, horrific terrible enemy, a terrorist, a threat, a devil. So that's the lesson. The accuser and his wrath. Title is something like that. So yeah, again, all the stuff you about to see coming out against so-called black people, the numbers, the data, the reports. I don't care if they show you video footage. The evidence is fake. It's a lie. So again, that's them accusing us before they come down with great wrath, or that word wrath actually means a great slaughter. So that's what's behind all of this. It's not about to push for segregation. Whites want to get away from blacks. It's bigger that they want to throw all black people in jail. No, this is so they can come down with a great slaughter. So when they finally do roll with the military, whenever they do, you know what it's about. You see a heavy military presence, so-called black neighborhoods nationwide, you know what it's about. Again, that's Luke 21 and 25 in the NLT. When you see Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem here in America, in the inner cities, surrounded by armies, ICE, the National Guard, the U.S. military, then you will know that the time of his destruction has arrived. So, Lord willing, that was informative, edifying. Till next time, Shalom.